Welcome back, everyone. This is another episode of Rediscovering God. We're going to continue on with our series about the Divine Code. So today we're going to delve in a little deeper into the fundamentals of faith. But first things first, guys, as always, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and give us all a big thumbs up.
All right, guys, how's your week?
It's great.
Going good, man.
All right, okay.
Only 2 days in.
But it was great.
Okay. All right, so we're starting chapter 1 on the fundamentals of faith. As a Jewish person, I like to say the 13 principles that the Rambam lays out after every day of prayers. You can find them on Google. There's like a couple different versions. You have the Sephardic version, the Ashkenaz version. There are not really any differences, and they all agree on the concepts. There's a lot of questions of what makes someone a heretic. Now, heretic is not an epithet. It has actual halachic ramifications. Can he be a witness? Can he, for many different things? Can he lead the congregation? Can he, can he, let's say, write in a Sefer Torah? Like, there's different laws, so you really need to know what makes a heretic and what doesn't make a heretic. So, like, for example, if you say the wrong explanation in something, in verse 24 in chapter 8 in Genesis, does that make you a heretic? Let's say you insist on your explanation even after we tell you it's wrong. Does that make you a heretic, right? A heretic. So this is a question: what makes someone a heretic? What doesn't? If you argue with any specific creed in Judaism, you're a heretic. Could be only if you argue with the specific ones, you're a heretic. You're just an idiot for arguing with the other ones, but you're not a heretic. So
is that a technical term?
So heretic is a technical term.
No, idiot.
Oh, no. So that's a whole separate discussion that I'm not going into. The Rambam introduced he wrote down in his Sefer 13 fundamentals, and then there was some discussion among other rabbis where, like, I'd really substitute number 12 for something else, or maybe there should be another 3 more, so the Rambam's view, based on his scholarship of the whole everything from in Judaism and all his teachings from his rabbis, led him to put out these 13 principles, and these 13 principles were eventually accepted by Judaism as being universal law at the time. So that's really what happens in oral law. A rabbi would say something, and then there's like a little bit of a debate about it, and then it gets settled. So at the time there was some discussion, but nobody was pushing back on the actual concepts that the Rambam was saying, where nobody was pushing back against those concepts. They're pushing back, well, maybe if you don't believe that, you're not a heretic. You're just, as I said, an idiot, or just an unfortunate person. So really, though, regarding the 13 fundamentals of what the Rambam is saying, that means you are a heretic if you don't believe in those 13 principles, even if it's by mistake. There's a saying in Yiddish, Nebach an apikaris is oichet apikaris. Someone who's only an apikaris, unfortunately, because it's not his fault, he's still an apikaris. Mm-hmm. Meaning, this is not a sin. It's not an aveira, right? It's not. This is a technical term to describe a proper believing person and someone who's not a proper believing person. How he got there, if someone forced him, if it's not his fault, that's a whole different question. When he gets to heaven, he'll be judged on whether it was his fault or not. But the halachic question is not about fault and not fault, and are you a nice guy or not? That's really not the purview of these principles that the Rambam is laying out. This is what I don't know, just to summarize it again. So it doesn't really matter why or you don't believe in them. You need to believe in them if you don't want to have the status of a heretic. It's not really saying you could have someone who's a heretic who's a really nice guy. Maybe he's just a heretic.
Are these 13 principles of faith? Are they in the back of most Sidurs? I heard Rabbi Breitowitz say that.
They are. So there's actually there's three versions that I know of. It could be even There could be even 4. The Rambam, I'm not sure if the Rambam wrote them once or twice. He might have wrote them in his explanation on Mishnayos and in his main Sefer, or and then you have one in the Sephardic Siddur, which is a really short version, and then you have the Ani Mamins, which is the longest version. Then you have like this song, whatever you could call it, a song called Yigdal, which it may be even that the Rambam himself wrote it, which is like kind of like chanted in the synagogue after prayers, and that kind of is also, it's like a song based on them, but it's all really the same ideas. You might have a word here or there missing. So in my Sephardic Siddur, which I don't have on me, it's literally like 8 lines. I'll just say them over here right when we get to, because we're getting into fundamentals of faith. So right there we have, I believe with full faith that it's on a slide, that Hashem exists and controls everything. He is one. He has no body or no image of a body. He is first. There is no worship except to him. He knows all the thoughts of man. Moshe's prophecy is true. Moshe is the greatest prophet. The Torah is given from heaven. The Torah will never change. Hashem punishes evildoers and awards righteous people. Mashiach will come and the resurrection will happen. See, you just went through Jewish theology in 27 seconds. That's all you need to know. Now you can move on to learning the how-to and
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so let's get to it. We have right over here in the Divine Code on page 42. So we have the first thing. So really, he's kind of, I mean, if you watch any videos of Rabbi Moshe Wiener, he's really basing a lot of the book off the Rambam, and you understandably so, because the Rambam really is the only main codifier who actually like sets out chapters and chapters of the Noachide laws, while from other commentators, Rishonim, you're really getting them by implication, what they might mention in a Talmudic passage here, you might be able to deduce, but they never actually comprehensively wrote much on the Noachide laws explicitly. Okay, so the basic foundation and first principle of faith is to know that there is a primary being who brought all existence into being. All of the entities in the spiritual and physical realms come into existence only from the truth of his being. And that's that Hashem exists and he created everything. He created both the spiritual and physical realms. And then number 2 is that this being is the God of the universe and the master of the entire earth. He controls the spheres, the entire universe, with infinite and unbounded power that continues without interruption. So Hashem also controls the world. And okay, so that's number 2. And we're going to get into this. And number 3 is that Hashem is one. Now, just to clarify, what does Hashem is one mean? I mean, obviously, if you say Jeremy's one, I don't need to say that. If I would see 2 people there, then then there would be 2 people there. So what am I saying when I say Jeremy's one? So you can make a statement that say like, there's only one God. But if you look at the Shema statement, that Hashem is one. So we're not just saying there's only one God. We're talking about the nature of our God, that he is one.
Right.
So if you wanted to say there's only one God, you would say, no. Romans, you guys are wrong. There are not 37 gods. There's only one. But the Shema statement is already referring to the God that we're speaking about. So once you are already saying that he is God, what are you saying he is one? That's obvious, because you're talking about one entity. So when we're saying he is one, we're testifying. It's like a presupposition that he is God. Now we're saying that he is one. So now what does he is one mean? So if you have a piece of paper, so it's one piece of paper, but it's made out of tiny different pieces of paper. So but it's one paper. But Hashem is not made out of anything.
Right.
It's really you're really not able to really you're not able at all, the Rambam says, to understand what Hashem is. We can only understand what Hashem is not. But when we mean to say that Hashem is one, he is not a unity like anything else, where There's different parts. A chair has different pieces of wood put together with nails, or even the same slab of wood. There's different molecules and different parts of the same piece of wood. Hashem is one, as in there's no parts. It's so
Right.
like anything else.
Let me ask you this real quick. We believe that Hashem is limitless. You know, he's completely outside time, space, and reality. I've heard the argument that to say it's so preposterous, but I'd like you to just comment on it for a minute. To say Hashem is one, to say he has even a number, is to put a limit on Hashem. You know, what do you think about that?
Rabbi Singer has a video titled on YouTube, I think, why can't God be a man? So in it, very Jewishly, he answers the question with a question. Why can't God be stupid? You're putting a limit on God when you say that he's not stupid.
Right.
Maybe he should become stupid.
Right.
That's kind of the answer to that question, that,
right.
You know, saying God is one is a limit. The whole question is, I don't get it. It sounds like the same question as why can't God be stupid? Hashem is one because that's who he is. That's his nature. There's nothing outside of him. He is
right.
He's just one. So
and that's the entire definition premise of limitless.
Yeah.
There's nothing outside of him, you know, that.
So it's saying you're contradicting limitless by putting a limit, but we're not putting a limit. We're saying he's limitless. Are you putting a limit by saying he's limitless? That's really what that question is, and it's like, you know, twist your brain into a pretzel, but you know, one day you'll take a deep breath. You know, sometimes I get my brain sometimes twists into pretzels about random things all the time, and then like, okay, to take a sip, go get a drink of water, come back, think again with a fresh mind. And by saying that Hashem is limitless, we're not putting a limit on him by saying that. It's just ridiculous. Okay, so again, the idea of Hashem is one is that he is a unique unity to him that it's not a unity at all. The unity of Hashem is that there's no unity at all. He's just one. And so now let's going over a couple of these things here. So the first thing is Hashem created everything. So this is something we have, that Hashem created everything, of course, something from nothing. And then on top of that, it's not like he created it and now it's like self-sufficient life that could, you know, do whatever it wants. He's constantly recreating it. It's like kind of you think of it kind of like an electric current, which I read as an example. That's not my example, and if this is wrong, then, you know, bully me and the guy I read it from. But just you know, without assuming too much, you could think of it as like an electric current, where the whole universe, everything in existence, is constantly being given life by this from Hashem, like an electric current. But it's not like, well, you know, the power station's on, you know, and it's just coming without thought. It's a conscious, so to speak, decision by Hashem to constantly give life every second. We say in Shemona Esrei Konei Hakol, if you have a good translation, that's what it means. He recreates every second. So kind of, you know, let's say sometimes you have somebody sins and they feel dejected afterwards, or they feel far away from Hashem. They feel like, you know, Hashem doesn't want my prayers right now, you know, maybe tomorrow, or like for the rest of the day, like, you know, it's just, I feel awkward, right? So I can understand that, but then you think about the fact that right after you did whatever you did, Hashem recreated you. So that means right after you finish doing that, Hashem's like, well, you know, I still want this guy. I'm still going to give him another chance. So if Hashem waited till the next day to give you another chance, I could hear the thought, why I'm going to wait for tomorrow. And when he tells me in the morning, you know, come back, okay, it's fine, so I'll pray to him again. But right after I was done doing that, while I was doing it, Hashem was giving me life. So that means that, so then he still loves me and wants to help me grow the next second. And therefore that could help people overcome that sense of dejection. Let's see here. Now Hashem controls everything except for man's ability to choose between good and evil. I personally think that free will is Hashem's greatest creation. And it really is a paradox. I don't want to get into this, but how could Hashem is limitless. How could there even be free will? Right? So I'm not going to get into this, but the Rambam speaks about this. But suffice it to say, the golden rule is you have free will. Hashem told us so. So the same Hashem who told us that He controls everything also told us we have free will. Now you want to figure out how that works? It's a great question, but you should just know that they're both true. Hashem controls everything, and you have free will to choose between good and evil. And I'm not going to get into all of that discussion. Okay,
cool thought on that topic though of free will. A way that actually you can see that how Hashem made that same dynamic work in the physical world. And I heard this from Rabbi Breitowitz. Is if you ever study physics at all, so, regular old Newtonian physics, if you take an object and you apply the opposite force that object exerts, gravity, you'll always get the same result, right? It's completely constant. But on a quantum level, I mean, like as small of physics as you can get, everything is completely random. You could have a thousand different of the same scenario and get 1,000 outcomes, and that's very similar. So on a grand scale, as we see it, like how the world runs, seems like everything is just Hashem's plan, and he's orchestrating it all. But on a small level, all the small little pieces like us on the chessboard, we have free choice, and we can make all, but it comes together in the grand scale that Hashem is actually getting it to his final, intention. I guess you could say, despite our free choice. He uses our free choice, and that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and that I think I heard that explanation, and that kind of also goes in line with the fact that Hashem is outside of the dimension of time.
Right.
But I would just say that that's an explanation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There's the law, and then there's a nice explanation that's a really nice explanation from Rabbi Breitowitz. But what he's putting down here from the Rambam, this is like cement. Like tomorrow, some scientists figured out why that doesn't work. We're still gonna sleep well. It's
right. Right.
No, but I really enjoy that explanation. No, but I never actually heard that before, and I enjoyed it. But everything else that's not in your free will, that's someone else's free will, or anything in the world that ever happens to you that was nothing to do with your decisions, is from Hashem. So if someone rear-ends your car, so then Hashem, that guy, how is he going to get punished? And don't worry about him. Everyone has their own free will. But everything that happens to you, people should look at it that it's coming from Hashem, and therefore it's a message from him. It could be a punishment for something. It could be a way for you to, someone sin, and now this pain will, could be maybe, take it away or whatever. But if he accepts it, I'm not going to get into how that works, and that's just, a different discussion with suffering and everything. But at the end of the day, if someone rear-ends you, Hashem is doing that, and then are you going to get out and get angry, or are you going to get out and be calm and measured? Maybe it was an accident. So everything in this world, and this covers everything, is from Hashem, and everything's an opportunity to grow or fall. And famously, the Talmud says, everything that Hashem does is for the good, and people should learn to live by that creed. If they don't get a job, it's for the good. That job wasn't good for you. So could I just stay home and let a good job is fall to me by sleeping on my couch? No, there's something else, obligation of his shtadlus, which is also not part of the subject today. But everything in life that happens to someone is from Hashem, and everything Hashem does is for good. And people should, I feel like if people really internalize that deep down, it could be life-changing. Okay. So now we're talking about the fact that that there's no other gods. So aside from the Torah saying so, this is really also brought out very well in the Chayvus of the Vav with Shari Yichud. which is written about 1,000 years ago. Duties of the hearts. I think it's the second gate, the gate of unity, talking about the unity of Hashem. And I'm pretty sure this is a famous philosophical argument. I just thought it was worth mentioning that the whole idea of Hashem from a philosophical point of view starts off as everything needs a cause, and Hashem is the first cause. Now,
Right.
if there's two gods, God forbid, then they're both separate, right? Spiritually, physically, they're both separate because there's two, so they're separate. So the second you have dimensions, then you have a beginning and an end, then you have to be created. So then, if you need to be created, you can't be God, because God is just a name given from a philosophical point of view, just the name given to the creating cause that created all the things that have a beginning. So when we talk about God philosophically, we're talking about the entity that doesn't need to be created because it always exists and it can create other things. So if there's two, they're both not God. So God inherently has to be one, because if there would be more than one, they're both not God, because they both have limitations. So then they're both finite, and they both are not. They both are creations. They're not the creator.
Well said.
This is not to negate like other arguments for God's existence, and this is not an atheist related, like countering atheism related channels as far as I know. So obviously intelligent design is also a great philosophical proof for God, and as well as the Jewish survival. Obviously, there are smart atheists in the world, and any single argument you could bring up, they'll be able to argue, because that's just what free will is, and how you're going to interpret what it seems in front of you. If your heart is in the straight path, you'll see it straight, and if your heart is crooked, you'll see things crooked too. And then, okay, now God has no form, no body. Any reference in Judaic literature, Torah, Orla, Medrash, Zohar, and anything in between, suggesting otherwise, it's not meant to be understood as such. This is including any reference to emotions, physical, or the throne of glory. Everything and anything, as he says here, spiritual and physical realms, was created by Hashem. So angels, demons, whatever you want, any angel. I don't really want to get into angels. Any angel, even the one that starts with I don't know, it's a Greek name, Metatron. All angels, I would never get into angels and stuff, but I just saw it recently becoming like a thing that people are bringing up. All angels, all demons, all people, anything and anything in between, they're all creations. They have nothing to do with Hashem. They're not part of Hashem. They're not related to Hashem. Hashem is the single creator, and everything else is creations. And Hashem has no connection to them. Nobody can inherently. Hashem is not. You cannot contemplate Hashem. A being cannot contemplate an infinite being. That means not only can we not contemplate Hashem, neither can the angels. Nobody can. And
I've seen this coming up a lot recently, even in Noachide circles. The belief that Hashem does have a form.
Yeah.
And listen. And really, you see that rhetoric as a way for the finite mind to understand the infinite.
Right. We need to stop trying. We need to stop going to where we do not belong. The Talmud relates there were 4 great sages who went further than anyone else into Kabbalah, and 4 of them. And one of them died. One of them lost his mind. One of them became a heretic, and only one of them stayed straight. Rabbi Akiva says he came in pure and whole, and he entered pure, and he left pure and whole. It's the entire story is brought down on like metaphors, and like they entered the garden, whatever, and they left the garden, and he was chopping down trees in the garden, and the whole thing's metaphoric, because these things can't really be just written down, because they're all, and also they don't want people misappropriating it, but you know what, people have been misappropriating it even so. But nevertheless, one of the reasons why it says that Rabbi Akiva wasn't harmed, because he was making conscious efforts to not go where he did not belong. So I could understand the desire to try to contemplate God. Maybe it speaks to the desire to get close to Hashem, right? But that's an ego thing. That's about you. You want to get close to Hashem. You want to enjoy for yourself. When Rabbi Akiva is going like, I'm not trying for me. I'm just trying to be a servant of Hashem. So where I don't belong, I'm not going to go, no matter how pleasurable I might think it would be. So, I could understand why. I'm just saying, like, as we said in the beginning, these laws of heresies are not about sinning or being a good person or, being unfortunate. At the end of the day, Nebuch not be cursed, someone who's unfortunately a heretic, he's still a heretic. So, and you could stop being a heretic in a second. You just need to stop being a heretic. It's not a sin. And meaning, I don't want to say it's not a sin. I'm just saying that in terms of these laws, you could just stop being a heretic once you figure out the truth, and then you're not a heretic anymore. So neither, and this includes, of course, the Satan. Steve has had a couple of videos about this. There's no free will. There's no independent agency. They're all creations. And I want to say a small thing here about just learning these things. Like, where I'm from, you don't even touch the Zohar until you're a well-learned scholar. Maybe you're in your 40s, you've been studying your whole life, and you have a rabbi who's willing to teach you, and he has learned previously from someone, a similar rabbi who's studied his whole life and then received from his teacher all the way back up to Moses. You had 400 years ago Shabbatai Tzvi and the Frankists, and people taking Kabbalah and going wild because Rav Shabbatai Tzvi was learning Kabbalah when he was 17, and 20 years later, half of the Jewish world lay in ruins because of him. He read Kabbalah and he decided that he was, I don't know what, you have to research the whole Shabbatai Tzvi movement, but just saying that Kabbalah has damaged many Jews. So, people, and you're talking even some Jews who were learned, so it was really a secret. The Zohar was not even public. You couldn't buy it in a bookstore. Most people didn't know it existed until like the 12th century. It might be wrong. You could check that out. Maybe it's the 13th or 11th. And it was really passed down, master to teacher for around 800 years or so. Because Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wrote the Zohar. Now, the thing is, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is all over the Talmud, right? So it's not like you have like the Talmud rabbis and then the Kabbalah rabbis and have this long-standing argument. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was, and any master of Kabbalah is just as well a master of the revealed Torah. So these golden rules that we have come from them too, right? So they're not teaching God is one to us and then go to the basement and teach God is 3 and 1 and 4 and all these other heresies, right? Our traditions are not like only from the Talmud rabbis who don't know Kabbalah, and then the Kabbalah rabbis who argue with the Talmud rabbis, they have different opinions. They're the same people. They're the same. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is all over Talmud, right? He's one of the greatest rabbis in the Talmud. So that's just the point to make. That my advice to anyone is just to learn Hebrew, learn the revealed Torah, and then when you get stronger and you want to, and you find someone who's going to teach you properly, and not an online Mandana's Kabbalah class, then fine. So then cool. But anyone who's not a well-versed scholar in Chumash and the whole everything that you need to know, is really, why are you even doing it? Like,
right.
And also we spoke about this. I think that the whole fallen angels thing, that tradition is not referring to angels having free will. It's angels that were sent down here and transformed into men and then given free will. The fallen is because, I don't even know if the fallen is a Talmudic word. It could be, but like if it's fallen, it's because they were there and now they're here. But I don't think that fallen thing is a Jewish, Nephilim. So maybe yes. So maybe it just refers to the fact that they were there and now they're here. It sounds like there was some sort of discussion where they were like saying that they can't understand how man could be so sinful. So, and obviously they had no The reason why they couldn't understand that is because they had no free will. They never ate from the tree of the Eitzadas. So like God is right here. Like we said in one of our first videos, it's whenever someone sins, it's like, how could you sin, right? It's because a spirit. It's called. It says a spirit of stupidity, came over you. But free will is an amazing thing. It's God's creation, and the angels just didn't really comprehend how powerful the inclination to sin is. So God was like, all right, let's see you guys try it. And so that's what that tradition is saying. I don't think that tradition is universal, but I think that it has enough sources. But that's all it's saying.
Right.
We just don't have free will.
Right. Even if you do hold to that medrash,
Right.
they're transformed into men. They're not.
Right. Exactly.
They're not immortal divine beings, because then what sense would the flood be?
Right.
Kill off the mortals, and the guys who perpetrated the crimes get off scot-free, So.
Yep. And again, last thing here is that these fundamentals are not intellectual knowledge. There's been people who've known these fundamentals and then become heretics, because we said that the mind is ruled by the heart. The study of these fundamentals needs to be daily cemented into your brain, so that if someone does ever throw out something at you, you'll obviously you have your golden rule cemented in your brain. So either you'll understand what it's saying, or you won't, and you'll come back the next day and then you will understand it. But you're not gonna revisit everything you believe in. You need to have not just intellectual knowledge, but it needs to be baked into your bones, and it's a spiritual exercise. Talmud study is not an intellectual exercise where we sit here for 3 hours discussing the laws of thievery and how much you should be paying back. It's an immersion into the divine wisdom. It's getting close. It's an achievement of getting closeness to Hashem. That's frankly unparalleled, and the same should be with these 13 creeds. You need to really not just memorize them, but bake them in there with purity into your bones. The Talmud says that until the day you die, everyone has free will. It says never trust yourself, even until the day you die. I'm translating. Yochanan Hyrcanus, who I don't know if people have heard of him. He used to be a Pharisee, then he became a Sadducee. Was a great sage, and then one day he was 80 years old. He became a Sadducee. So, you could have 80 great years. It doesn't mean that the whole time you were faking it. People like, oh, he must have been faking it the whole time. Steve, like, you were never a real Christian. No, he was a real rabbi for 80 years, and then he became a Sadducee. So never trust yourself. Intellectual knowledge does not suffice. If one starts stumbling after sin, all his knowledge that he has will all get corrupted, right? So you can know everything, and then you start twisting things. I bet you right now, Steve, me and you and Jeremy could sit down here, and if we want to, God forbid we should never, we can make up our own religion by taking Psukim and Mars out of context. We can make up our own religion within a month, and we could sell it on the streets, and who knows, it might take off, and we can become rich people, right? So no matter how much we know, again, the knowledge is ruled by the heart, and so no matter how great a sage you are, until you take that last breath, the job is not done, and you need to be you need vigilance. So that covers, I think, the first 3 things here with the awareness of God, and then we have the Torah of Moses. And I think that's just, you need to, I guess, Steve, do you want to cover that in the next video?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. All right.
All right, everybody. Yehoshua, thank you. Always insightful. What?
Thanks, buddy.
Got it.
But all right. Reminder, everybody, Amazon link for the Divine Code is in the description of this video, along with multiple other works, different books, all sorts of stuff on the Noachide life, even a little bit of counter-missionary material down there. Also some comparative religion stuff if you're interested in that. And also, when we hit 1,000 subscribers, we're going to be doing a book giveaway. So everyone hit that subscribe button. But until then, guys, this was Rediscovering God. I thank you both for being on with me again. And we'll see you next time.
All right.